talk is does pair programming have to suck? But as I mentioned, Brady fucked it up. That's his Twitter, in case anybody doesn't know. And it's low res, but that's his fault. So the plan was, I do this thing, I don't really think in terms of left brain, right brain, but it works, right? There's the side of us that wants to have everything all figured out and have it all perfect and lined up and categorized. 6 steps to successful pairing, right? And I think that's what I'm supposed to write. So I write that, and then it's dead and boring. And then so Brady gets up and he's all, Ruby is love. And I'm like, okay. So this is going to be a cross between the talk that I gave at Ruby Midwest and the thing that David made me say out loud. So we'll just see what happens. So now it's, does pair programming have to suck / letting go of having it all worked out? We'll see how it goes. And this is like, you know, the advice, memorize your talk and don't change it no matter what, because then you won't know what to say. So that's what I did, I changed it. And now I don't know what to say. So let's see what happens. I'm Angela Harms. I work at Lean Dog in Cleveland, sometimes on a boat, sometimes when the boat's being rehabbed in an office. I work on a mobile team that's about 7 people. We have an awesome time. We pair. We fight. So that's my official intro. My real intro is that I'm obsessed with collaboration. I'm obsessed with love and compassion and figuring out what can change about the world if we actually do that, if we actually go there, right? If we let down our guard. So that's what I'm really about, and so that's why that's my like secret agenda, just so you know, because I'm not big on secrets. So why do we pair program? Like you guys have read the advice, right? That says pair programming produces better results faster. Ron Jeffrey says the same thing. In pairs, progress is faster, we work longer without losing headway, and quality is higher. Everybody says this, right? There's studies, you can look them up, I'm not going to read this to you. I'm going to go over real quickly why pairing is a good idea, because maybe you haven't actually paid much attention to those things. Actually, I want to ask you guys, how many of you pair at work now? How many of you pair close to 100% of the time? Or on all committed code? 50%? Not at all? Okay, one other question. Like, how many of you would pair if you could, or would prefer to? Okay, one other question, which is, how many of you would like to avoid pairing if you could possibly do that? Cool, thank you. Okay, so quickly, before your left brains enjoy it, how does pairing help us? It helps us to bring up news, right? They can find out what our code base is like, what we're trying to accomplish, what our tools are, how they work. It's really important to do that. And it also can sort of cut out, there's this waste that maybe it's just me, but the first week on the job, how much of your energy goes to trying to prove you're not an idiot? Or trying to make sure you look smart enough. Pairing kind of cuts that out, right? You don't have to do that. You can just actually work with somebody. It helps us share knowledge, even with people on our team who are experienced. We all know what's going on. We don't have a desperate fear that Joe will win the lottery and then not come back. Or, get hit by a bus. It makes our code expressive. This is because your names are stupid. When you write names all by yourself, and then you think, this is the perfect name right here, because it totally expresses what this does, and your pair goes, what the hell is that? Then you know, oh, well, maybe we should talk about it. Right? By yourself, your code is not expressive. It reduces errors. Errors like, I just spent 25 minutes trying to figure out what was wrong, and it turns out that my logic was reversed. Right? Stupid shit that you're either too tired or you don't think of an edge case, something like that. You avoid those things, so that's useful. And you create simpler solutions. Collaboration is, people think collaboration is where two ideas come up against each other and they fight until one of them wins. That's not collaboration, right? That's competition. It's awesome in some ways, it gives us better solutions. But collaboration builds new ones. Collaboration is where ideas come up against each other and they improve each other, right? And you come up with something all new that you wouldn't come up with on your own. And lastly, it keeps us off Twitter. So that's useful. These are all reasons that pairing is a good idea, right? So why don't we pair? So this all started when I had a conversation with this super duper rock star agilist developer coach. And he's sitting next to a woman who's a junior developer. And he's on his laptop and she's coding. And he says, yeah, we're pairing. And I'm like, what? So he says, we're doing what I like to call side-by-side pairing. I love that. And it means he gets to do shit on his laptop, like check his email. And, oh, I'm sorry, are there women in the audience? Because I just said shit. Okay, sorry. Mormons, are there Mormons? Mormons and women Mormons, all shit, so I'm good. Okay. So, okay, you know what side-by-side pairing is. So, why don't we pair? So I put up a survey, and I asked people, why don't we pair? And all the smart old guys told me that the reason people don't pair is because their setup sucks. They don't have 2 monitors, or they don't have a big monitor, they don't have 2 keyboards. I didn't catch my guy. Talking was work. So, I asked this question. I asked, when you had a good pairing experience and when you had a bad pairing experience, answer these questions. In the good pairing experience, what was the setup like? Right? Did you have 2 keyboards, whatever? Did you think your pair was smarter than you, dumber than you, junior, senior? I asked these kind of questions, right? I don't remember the 3rd question, but it doesn't matter. The point was, the result, I'll tell you in a second. So I asked people why they had, a good experience, why they had a bad experience. And the results were that it made absolutely no difference. No difference whether you were with a junior or a senior. No difference whether you had a stupid little laptop or a huge, beautiful pairing station. The good experiences were all people focused on the code. And the bad experiences were all somebody not focused on the code. Criticizing, harassing, ignoring, side-by-side pairing. And so this is Tim Ottinger. He's a friend of mine and an agile coach. And he wrote this deck of cards. And he says the same thing. He's all like, here's how you get pairing to work. You focus on the code. You don't focus on whether you're doing a good enough job or whether your pair's doing a good enough job. Or, you focus on the code. Focusing on the code is hard, right? And it's hard because we are stressed out by the presence of another person, or we're introverted, or we feel inadequate, or we think they're inadequate, or whatever. Tiger Rose he's at Bendicode in Madison. You probably know him. This is a quote that I snagged from him. Makes programmers work harder than they've ever worked before in their lives. So these are some of the ways that pairing can suck, and I want to go through them. When you're pairing with a newbie, this is somebody that you've labeled junior team. They may be less experienced in your code base. They may be less experienced in the tool set. They may be less experienced at collaborating, right? They can bring you useful things. They can bring you, for example, obviously they can catch typos, right? I'm actually going without notes now because you screwed up my display. Yep. That's okay. We're going to do that. Seriously? Nope. Fail. Sorry. Nope. Okay. So what do you get when you pair with a newbie? You get typos, but you also get collaboration. You get to find out how stupid your names are. You get to find out when you're going down a crazy path, but only if the newbie is willing to talk about what's going on, right? They have to ask you, why are you doing that? What's the, you know, my favorite thing. So I have a guy on my team here with me who is brilliant and can like code beyond anybody's ability that I've ever seen. And he will do all this complex stuff, and I'll say, is that the simplest way that'll work? And they'll be like, shit. So that's one of the things you can get when you're really doing. In order to get that, you have to be willing to sit on your hands, talk about everything you do, teach them how to collaborate with you. That's what you have to do. And it's really easy to say, oh, this person's a newbie, I'll just follow the keyboard and do all the good stuff. Model changing your mind. That's what you can do when you're pairing with a noob. Teach them what it looks like to say, oh, you're right, I screwed up, that was stupid. Let's do this other thing. Because when you're pair programming, that's a really important thing to be able to do, right? You're clinging on to your best idea that you came up with. You're not pairing. Pairing involves saying, oh, right, bad idea. Right? And being happy about that. Being like, thank you for that awesome new idea you just gave me. You can model that for your noobs. So what happens if you're pairing with a rock star? You're the one who's the noob. You feel kind of stupid, feel kind of behind. This never happens to any of you guys, I'm sure, but it happens to me. And the rock star can fill in knowledge that you don't have. And they can help you solve things and help you figure out stuff. And they can also hog the keyboard. Tell you every move to make. They can zone out. They can side-by-side pair. And so you know what you have to do when you're pairing with a rock star and you're the noob is, you take the leadership role. You're the leader. And by you're the leader, I mean you're teaching them to collaborate with you. You're saying, here's how we model changing our minds. Here's how we model learning new things. So that means, to get to the right left side of the brain again, whatever. It means take the keyboard. It means ask for the keyboard, and then ask for it again, and then ask for it again, and then say, yo, I need the keyboard because I'm going to fall asleep. It means assuming that you add value. It means paying attention, telling your pair when you get lost. And all this is really hard stuff. It's really hard not to be like, well, I'm not really doing anything, so I'll just sit back and curl up in the ball and let the big boys do it. Not a good idea. And you have to know that taking time for learning will pay off, right? If you're not taking the keyboard away from the senior person, you're screwing your team over, right? Because you're accruing a knowledge debt on your team, and that's not a good idea. So what if you need to go fast? Does pairing get in your way? Curious. Anybody?
Yes.
Yes? How does it get in your way?
Communication overhead.
It slows you down?
Lowest common denominator, explaining your code. Yeah.
So,
Right, test slows you down.
does
too.
TDD slow you down?
Yeah.
Are you glad?
Yeah, it's just a question.
Continuous integration? Pain in the ass, sometimes. Okay, I actually had the experience where I was, my team started feeling really pressed for time, and I started thinking, oh, you know what, I should, and I'm like, wait a minute. Oh shit, who's going to slow them down if I don't pair with them, right? Because I've seen some kitty code come out of, not being slowed down. So yeah, maybe it's going to slow you down. Maybe your code is still going to be expressive, right? Maybe it's still going to work. Maybe it's still going to be shared code base. By the way, my timer says 27 minutes left, and I know that's wrong, so let me know. Because
That's me.
Need to focus? Does a pair help you focus or hurt? Does a pair help or hurt you focus? That was you, right? Who said that's me?
No, who's your focus?
Oh, right. Everything's your fault. So oddly enough, I asked a coworker saw this slide, and he said, pairing increases focus. What's the issue here? And for him, he said, if he said he needed to focus and he couldn't pair, it was because he feels dumb, that the problem's too hard. He doesn't want to talk about it, which was really odd. So if that's the issue, when you need to focus, that's kind of cool, because then you can actually speak that out loud, and once you speak it, it actually diffuses. And meanwhile, you're teaching your pair openness, which is really useful. But also, focusing, it's when you're focusing on the pairing and not on the code that pairing interferes with your focus. Focus is not something you lose by pairing if your focus is on the code. All you're doing is working on the code and talking about the code and making the code more expressive. If you're focusing on pairing, then it's interfering with your ability to code. What happens when somebody's zoning out? So this is more practical stuff, which is like, you guys know what ping pong pairing is? So there's different ways that you can swap off, right? In a really organic and awesome pairing situation, you're just swapping off whenever somebody gets an idea. But you can also trade the keyboard. Every time somebody writes a test, the other person passes it, and then you refactor and you switch back and forth. I'm assuming we're all doing red-green refactor, but so you can try switching off. But also, it's about talking. It's about taking collaboration seriously and not letting this continue. You say, wait a minute, we're collaborating here and we need to be talking about what we're doing. It's about taking the leadership role. Like pretty much no matter what your position is in the pair, you're the leader. That's what I want to convince you of. Okay, so these are juicy ones. Pairing sucks when you have code standards. And you want to work on figuring out, you want to work on refactoring something, and your pair doesn't want to, or they're like, you're wasting time, or you want to write a little test, your pair says that's too small, or vice versa, right? But pairing is how your team generates code standards. You don't have to have them up front and impose them on people. You create them as part of the process. Pairing lets you do that. As craftsmen, sexist word alert, sorry. I don't have a better one. We choose to share our code and not own a piece of code, right? And that's because we value the collaboration. So what we have to do is we have to let these things evolve. But there are some things you can do. One thing you can do is take something for now and just go with it. Give it the best name you can come up with and move on, and then go back later and fix it. You can also flip a coin, argue for a while and then flip a coin. This is one of my favorite things to do when there's a code standard disagreement. You do the wrong thing. You let go of your need to be right, and you say, oh, okay, let's do that. And then pretty soon, at some point, it'll come back and it'll say, yo, that was the wrong thing, and then you can fix it, and you can learn from it. Giving up your need to win the argument makes pairing go a lot better. Because you're not actually always right, is the thing. I mean, you always think you're right, right? Because that's what it means to think something, but you're not always right. And then this is what Ron Jeffries always tells me. The shit works, right? And so better code actually does emerge. You trust it and you work together and then things change over time. You don't have to get it all right just now. You don't have to have it all figured out. This is still assuming TDD, which is how many people are TDD? So that's most people, it looks like, right? Yeah? Okay. Again, with the quotes about how productive and fun it is. I don't know if that does any good or not, because it's just a claim. But working in a pair is lively and energetic, and it gives us the ability to create new ideas. Like I said, the big thing here is collaboration. It's that ideas form from the process. The process is about creating new knowledge. And you can't do that by yourself. You just can't. Like, all you can create by yourself is the best thing you can come up with. You start feeding other people in, and you've got this new ability to generate stuff. So those of you who like pairing, those of you who do it, who want to do it, here's the thing. It's your job to sell pairing, to make it work. It's your job to bring people into that and teach them that you can do something. Is that me again? What am I doing? Oh! very dear friend says, charm your team to greatness. And it's not about coercing them, it's not about imposing standards. It's not about getting the code standards right. It's not about knowing what they should be. It's about encouraging people to feel safe collaborating. Right? So my point is that it is your job. You're the leader. It doesn't matter how good you are at it, or how experienced you are, or how awesome you are as a coder, or how crappy you are as a coder. You're the one who brings the knowledge that collaboration works. So you're the one who's empowered to let down your guard. You're the one who's empowered to ensure collaboration. You're empowered to hand the keyboard over when it's necessary, and you're empowered to take it back. It's your job. Pair programming is not going to happen unless the people who get it are willing to share that with other people. I think that's the end of my preaching. Do you guys have any questions? How long did it take me to be sold on pair programming? Well, I can tell you that I'm thinking, how long did it take me to hate it? And that was like 5 minutes. Right? Because when it sucks, it really, really, really sucks. Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I've been a collaboration fiend for a long time. So, no, I know the answer to that question. When I read Kent Beck's book, XP Explained, and he talked about it, I cried. I was like, holy shit, this is how it can be. And so, there was lots of sucky experience, but I always thought it would work. And then when it did work, I was like, yes! Which is why I want it to be better. Right? Yeah?
So, have you, in your experience, can pair programming be brought from the bottom up by the team saying we're going to do this, or does it have to be buy-off from the top down?
Wow, okay. I forgot about that. Like, on the team I'm on right now, there really isn't a bunch of crap on the top. It hasn't been. I work at Theme Dog, by the way, if anybody's curious. Where we get the pair programming, we don't get crap from the top. You know, it's weird, because it's like, if you say this is how we write code, you know, it depends on who you're dealing with, right? They're individuals, these people on the top. I don't know, if you can get by with TDD without anybody giving you crap, then maybe you can get by with pairing. If you've got somebody saying you're not allowed to write tests, God help me, I don't know what to say. Yeah?
What's your experience with pairing when you're not co-located?
Some of it is sucky and some of it's awesome. He asked about remote pairing. Is anybody doing that here?
Yes.
Anybody really successful?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so here's what I would say. I could talk about tools and stuff. I could tell you, for instance, don't use anything graphical. Use Vim, learn it. But what I really want to say is talk to Evan. Evan, right? Talk to Evan, because people who have been successful at it have lots of really brilliant things to say that are specific.
Team-ups.
Team-ups!
Team-ups.
Yeah, do that. Josh?
There's a website called remotepairprogramming.com.
remotepairprogramming.com. Cool. Any other questions? Yeah.
I've never done pair programming, and I'm trying to imagine myself doing it. But sometimes you're in programming mode, and it's much concentration when you don't really hear anything that goes. It's like when somebody's sitting behind you, like a backseat driver, or, I mean, does it really work?
Okay, he said he hasn't had a lot of experience, but he can't really imagine what it would be like because he gets in the zone and he can't hear anything. And also he was talking about having a backseat driver and how much that would suck. So if I didn't make that clear, having a backseat driver is not pair programming. I guess I could include that, right? Looking over somebody's shoulder and telling them what to do is not collaborating. Collaborating is when you're actually interacting with each other. That's what the whole take the keyboard thing is about. Sit on your hands if you're a senior. It's about making sure you're involving the other person. But a more direct answer, if you've never done pair programming before, I'm really glad you brought that up because I was going to forget to say this. Go to a code retreat. A code retreat is a full day of pairing, like one after the other. You do like 45-minute sessions, one after the other. And it can be a really good experience. Really worthwhile to get your feet wet, who have actually done it a few times. Some of them will suck, beyond a doubt, but code retreats are awesome, and you can do lots of them. Yeah?
What would you do to find out about a code retreat?
You know, let me Google that for you.